All right, ready to dive in. We're tackling Atomic Habits today, using those excerpts you sent over.
Awesome.
Ever feel like you're kind of stuck, like trying to change everything at once?
Yeah, for sure.
This one's for you. We're going to unpack how just little tweaks day to day can actually like snowball into huge results.
The cool thing about Atomic Habits is it ditches that whole go big or go home thing.
Right.
It's about understanding that small stuff, the tiny changes,
Mhm.
they can actually build up over time like crazy.
I love that. It's like the tortoise and the hare. Right.
Totally.
Slow and steady when it comes to habits,
Yeah.
that's how you win. So where does James Clear, the author, even begin with this whole idea?
He starts with his own story, and it's a pretty wild one too.
Oh,
So picture this, right? You're a high school athlete, everything's going great,
okay, yeah.
and then bam, a major baseball injury just takes you out.
Oh, wow.
We're talking like broken bones, facial fractures, even seizures and double vision.
That's intense. Something that could totally derail your life.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. During his recovery, Clear had this realization. It wasn't some big heroic effort that got him back on track.
Okay.
It was the tiny, almost invisible improvements day after day that added up. That's his connection to habits, or like compound interest, but for self-improvement.
Okay, I think I see what you mean. So even just small stuff,
Yeah.
like drinking more water or reading a bit before bed,
Yeah.
if they stick with it,
Yes.
it makes a big difference later on.
Huge. Think about it. If you get just 1% better each day for a year,
Wow.
you end up like 37 times better by the end. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's why Clear is all about building systems, not just goals.
So saying I want to lose weight or write a book, that's not enough.
Oh,
I got to have a structure to actually like back those goals up.
you got it. It's about being the kind of person who hits those goals naturally through their habits, who you are, not just what you want to DO.
That is powerful. But, okay, how do I actually DO that? Build better habits, I mean. Does Clear give us like a framework to understand them?
He does, and it's surprisingly simple, actually. He calls it the habit loop.
Okay.
4 stages: cue, craving, response, and a reward. It's like a cycle constantly running in our brains.
I'm listening. How does this Luke thing play out in like real life?
Okay, simple example. Baby seagulls. They instinctively peck at that red dot on their parent's beak, right, to get food.
Yeah, that's cute. But what's that got to do with habits?
The red dot, that's the cue. It tells the baby bird, hey, food's here. The hunger, that's the cue. Craving, wanting the reward. Pecking, that's the response. And the food itself, boom, the reward, makes the bird want to do it again.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So our habits are basically like automatic reactions to things around us.
A big part of it, yeah. And the
Yeah.
cool thing is, by understanding this loop, we can start to manage our habits. We can spot what triggers our bad ones and figure out how to, like, swap them for good habit cues.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So we've got these small changes adding up over time and this habit loop thing going on in our brains. But he goes even further, right?
Yes, he does.
It's not just about changing what we do, but who we are.
You got it. This is where it gets really interesting. It's not about hitting those outcomes, like losing weight or finishing that novel.
Yeah.
It's about being the kind of person who just does those things naturally.
So less about the what, more about the who.
Exactly. Clear uses this example, Laszlo Polgar, this guy who decided to raise his daughters as chess prodigies. He put chess into every part of their lives.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't a hobby, it was like their whole world. And guess what?
They got good.
All 3 became world-class chess players.
Seriously. Just from being around chess all the time.
It shows how powerful our environment is and our beliefs about ourselves.
Yeah.
When you believe you're a certain type of person, you end up doing things that back that up.
So if I want to be healthier, I got to act like a healthy person.
Yeah.
Even if I don't feel like it yet.
Exactly. It's aligning your actions with the identity you want. Asking, what would a healthy person do here? And then doing it, even if it feels weird at first.
This is blowing my mind. Like I'm seeing the code of habits or something.
Right.
But okay, let's get practical again. My apartment's not turning into a chessboard anytime soon. Where does our actual environment fit into this?
You're right, it's not magic, but environment matters a ton for habits. Clear talks about context, how our surroundings give us cues that trigger certain behaviors.
Like if I've got candy on my desk, I'm going to snack more than if it's hidden away.
Exactly. It's not just about temptations, though. Think about it.
Right.
If you always work on the couch, your brain's like, couch equals relax, not couch equals get stuff done. But a dedicated workspace, even a corner, your brain gets the signal, time to focus.
So setting things up so they support the habits I want.
You got it. Good habits easier. Bad habits, harder. Clear has these simple strategies for this, like one's called resetting the room. After you're done with something, take a minute, put things back in order.
Like, put the weights away after a workout. Clear my desk after work.
Yep, like resetting the stage. Another tip. Different spaces for different things. A work spot, a relax spot, a reading nook, you know?
That makes a lot of sense.
That-
It's like creating that mental link between a place and what I do there. But what about when I'm struggling to even start a new habit? Sometimes it feels huge, like climbing a mountain.
Oh, I hear that. It's easy to get bogged down by how big it seems. But Clear's got this great way to beat that resistance. The 2-minute rule.
2-minute rule. Okay, tell me more.
It's breaking the new habit down to the tiniest version, something that takes like 2 minutes, tops. Instead of read for an hour before bed, it's read 1 page. Instead of 30-minute run, it's put on my running shoes.
That's genius, like tricking my brain into doing something without freaking out about it. But let's say I've started, right? How do I stick with it? Willpower's not always enough. We all know that.
So true. Willpower, it's a limited resource. That's where that final stage of the habit loop comes in, the reward. Our brains love repeating things that feel good. So if we want a habit to stick, we got to make it satisfying.
So make the habit itself fun, or tie it to something I enjoy.
Exactly. One way that's super effective is a habit tracker. Visually seeing your progress, like marking X's on a calendar,
Yeah.
it can be super motivating.
Yeah.
Our brains love that sense of progress and reward.
Like leveling up in a game. I get it.
Totally. And some people go a step further. Habit contracts with an accountability partner.
Wait, a habit contract?
Mhm.
Sounds intense.
It's a formal agreement, basically.
Okay.
You write down your habit goals and like the consequences if you don't do them. Then you share it with someone who'll keep you accountable.
So it's putting real stakes on it. But Clear also talks about finding a game where the odds are in your favor.
Yeah.
Right? What does that even mean?
This is where we go from like tactics to overall strategy. He says we're way more likely to succeed at things we're naturally good at, things that fit our strengths and skills.
So instead of trying to be someone I'm not, I should focus on what comes easily to me, developing those skills and habits.
Precisely. It's not denying your weaknesses, it's playing to your strengths. Finding where your effort gets you the biggest payoff.
Okay, I see the bigger picture now. It's working smart, not just hard. But how do I even know what my strengths are? And how do I make sure I'm not setting myself up to fail by picking the wrong game?
That's where it gets really interesting. Clear talks about finding your Goldilocks zone with habits and challenges. And that's where we'll pick up next time.
Okay, so last time we were talking about this Goldilocks zone thing.
Right.
Sounds like it's all about hitting that sweet spot,
Yeah,
where a habit is challenging, but not so hard I want to quit.
exactly. Clear uses that Goldilocks idea to show how important it is to find the right level of challenge.
Mhm.
If it's too easy, we get bored, right? But too hard, and we just give up.
Makes sense. It's kind of that in-the-zone feeling.
Yeah.
When you're so into what you're doing, time flies. Flow state, is that what they call it?
Yeah. You got it. And that's where the magic happens. We're at our best, most productive, creative, you name it, when we're in that flow.
Right.
So the Goldilocks rule, it's all about finding that balance, pushing yourself just enough, but not burning out.
Okay, I like it. But how do I actually DO that with my habits? Like, say I'm learning a new language. How do I get in the Goldilocks zone there?
Let's break it down. If you're just starting out, jumping into a crazy grammar book, that's probably too much too fast.
Yeah, I'd be lost.
Right, you'd get overwhelmed. But learning a few basic phrases a day, that's doable.
True, those small wins would keep me going.
Exactly. And once you've got those down, you up the challenge a little. Maybe you start having easy conversations or read some kids' books.
So keep adjusting the difficulty to stay in that sweet spot.
You got it. It's ongoing. Pushing yourself a bit past your comfort zone, but still feeling good about what you're achieving.
This is really helpful. I can see how to use this for all sorts of habits. But, okay, we've talked a lot about good habits. What about breaking BAD ones? Any tips from Clear on that?
There are. And it goes back to that habit loop, remember?
Yeah, the cue, craving, all that.
We talked about making good habits attractive, satisfying. Well, flip it around. Make the bad D ones unattractive and unsatisfying.
Reverse psychology for habits.
Kind of. One thing Clear suggests is a habit contract. But this time, it's for discouraging the bad stuff.
So instead of rewards for doing good, it's like punishments for doing bad.
You got it. Say you're trying to cut back on social media, right?
Right.
You could make a deal with a friend where if you're on there for over an hour, you donate to a charity you hate.
Ouch. That would definitely motivate me. It's like putting a price tag on my bad habit.
Exactly. That outside accountability can be a big push to change. But even without a whole contract thing, just having someone to check in with you helps a lot.
Like a teammate for habit change.
Totally. And, you know, this accountability thing, it links back to one of the big ideas in Atomic Habits, environment and systems, how they affect us. We've talked about how our surroundings matter, but it's also about the systems we create to support our habits.
Remind me what clear means by systems again.
He says they're the processes behind our results. Not just setting a goal, but actually making a structure that almost guarantees you'll reach it.
So if I want to write a book, my system would be like having specific writing time, an outline, maybe a writing buddy.
Exactly. It's setting things up so it's easier to actually do the work, even when you don't feel like it.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's not about willpower all the time. It's about making things work for you, almost automatically.
Right. And one of the best ways to make your systems even stronger, automate as much as you can.
Oh, now you're speaking my language. I love automation. But how does that fit into habit building?
Every decision we make uses up willpower, right? So automate things like bills, groceries, even workouts. That frees up brain space for the stuff that actually needs your focus.
So it's like offloading the boring stuff to my systems so I can concentrate on the important stuff.
You got it. And it ties back to the habit loop, too.
Oh, I think I see where you're going with this.
When you automate, you're basically taking away the cue, the craving, even the response from the loop. The thing just happens without you needing to think about it.
That's so smart. So instead of remembering to move money to savings each month, I just set up an automatic transfer and forget about it.
Exactly. It's like dominoes, the result you want just happens naturally. And the best part, once these systems are in place, they basically run themselves.
It's like building a machine that works on autopilot. Gives me time for other things. But let's be real, we're not robots. We can't automate everything. There are going to be habits that need effort, willpower. What about those?
That's where reflection comes in. It's super important. And that's what we'll talk about next time.
All right, so we've talked about a lot. Tiny habits making big changes, systems, even automating things.
We have.
But last time, you mentioned reflection.
Right.
Why is that so important for, actually building better habits?
Think of it like taking your habit to the mechanic for a tune-up.
Right.
You wouldn't drive a car for years without checking the oil or the tire pressure.
True.
It's the same with habits. Got to check in, see what's working, what's not, and make sure everything's running smoothly.
So reflection is like habit maintenance.
Exactly. Regularly checking in with yourself, what's working, what's not, how to optimize your systems for the best results.
Okay, how often should I be doing this tune-up? Like once a month or...
Clear recommends taking some time each week to look at your progress. Make tweaks if you need to. He even says keep journal just for your habits. Track them and, write down your thoughts about it.
A habit journal. I could see that helping. To see patterns and figure out what to improve. But say I've been tracking for a while and there's this one goal I keep missing. What then?
Then those 4 laws of behavior change come in handy. Remember those?
Yeah, make it obvious, make it attractive, all that.
Yeah.
Like the cheat codes for habits.
Exactly. If you're struggling, use those laws to figure out what's going on. Ask yourself, is it obvious enough in my life? Does it even appeal to me? Is it easy to do? Am I getting something good out of it?
Those are good questions. By looking at it that way, I can figure out what I'm doing wrong.
Right. Once you see the problem, use that matching law to fix it. Like, if the habit's not obvious, put up reminders, change your space so you see the cue more.
Okay, that makes sense. What if the problem is I just don't like the habit? Like, I know I should exercise, but I hate the gym.
That's where make it attractive comes in. You got to make it appealing. Maybe change how you think about it or link it to something you do enjoy.
So instead of thinking about how much I hate running, I could focus on that good feeling after or find a friend to run with.
You got it. Find ways to change your view. Make the habit itself something you want to do.
This is great. It's not all about willpower then. It's about being smart and creative.
Exactly. And one of the best ways to make habits more appealing, intrinsic motivation.
Intrinsic motivation. What's that?
It's about finding things you actually enjoy doing, things that are rewarding just because you like them, not because of some outcome.
So not forcing myself to do stuff I hate just because it's good for me. I should look for things that actually make me feel good.
Exactly. Match your habits to your values, your interests. That way, the motivation comes naturally.
I love that. Like I'm allowed to enjoy getting better, you know?
Right. And it ties back to that identity thing we were talking about. When the habit fits who you really are, it becomes more than just an action. It's part of you.
It's not a have to anymore. It's a get to. Like, it's who I am, not just another thing on my to-do list.
Exactly. That's where the magic really happens.
This is amazing. Okay, back to reality for a sec. We've got tracking, reflecting, using those 4 laws to adjust things. But we all mess up sometimes, right? Nobody's perfect.
Oh, for sure. And Clear says that setbacks, they're normal. It's not about never making a mistake. It's about what you do after.
So don't beat myself up. Just get back on track as soon as I can.
Exactly. Never miss twice. That's what he calls it. You miss a day, fine. Don't let it become 2 days. Don't let one slip up ruin everything.
That's a good point. It's so easy to think, oh, I messed up. Might as well give up.
Yeah. But every day is a new start, right? Don't get stuck in the past. Focus on what you can do and now to get back on track.
This is such a relief. It's okay to mess up as long as I learn from it and keep going.
Exactly. And when you do have a setback, it's helpful to figure out WHY. Did you not plan well enough? Did your routine change? Was there a temptation you didn't expect?
So if I know WHY I slipped up, I can stop it from happening again.
You got it. And it's a chance to look at your systems again, see if there's anything you can tweak to make them stronger.
So reflection isn't just about the good stuff. It's about learning from the bad stuff too, and using that to improve my systems.
Exactly. And it all comes back to that big idea in Atomic Habits. Those small improvements, over time, they add up to something amazing. It's not about being perfect. It's about being a little bit better every day.
This has been so helpful. I'm seeing habits in a whole new way now. It's not about forcing myself. It's about strategy, having a system, and knowing myself.
I'm glad to hear it. And remember, the big takeaway here, start small, keep at it, and find a way to enjoy it.
Absolutely. Little changes done consistently can lead to big results. And to our listener, we hope this deep dive into Atomic Habits gave you some ideas and inspiration. Remember, you can change your life one small habit at a time.